Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. Caleb Jones, maximum masculine freedom, maximum masculine happiness. Alpha Male 2.0 is the number one greatest lifestyle a man can live outside of being super rich. And I'm talking about the modern era, of course. In this podcast, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all the ages and go through the minimum ages of when you should do certain things. I have talked about various different aspects of this in various different places, different videos, different articles, but I've never actually consolidated all of it into one nice, neat package. And that's what I'm going to do today in this podcast. Now, many of you are not going to like what I'm about to say. Many of you are going to bitch and moan and complain. Or if you don't bitch and moan and complain, if you're not a commenter, you're just going to go, oh, fuck Caleb, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So be ready that a decent percentage of you are not going to like what I'm about to say, but I'm right. And I will show you why I'm right, because as usual, all the data is on my side. All of the anecdotal data and all of the statistical data is on my side, as well as the financial data. So if I say something in this podcast that you don't like, don't blame me. I'm just reporting how reality is. Blame reality. More specifically, blame voters for the past 30, 40 years who have driven your Western countries into a shithole and into a place where it's super expensive to do things like raise one child. Go blame those people, because I'm not one of those people. I haven't voted in a national election in 20, 25 years. I don't vote for Democrats or Republicans, and I never will. They're both terrible. And the concept of, well, one is slightly worse than the other because we have to vote for one because the other one is worse. I've already done videos about that and explained that in detail in my blogs of why that's an insane viewpoint. But anyway, enough of that. Let's start off at age 18. At age 18, when you were an 18-year-old, it is my strong opinion that your number one goal is to move out of your parents' home. Move out as fast as you possibly can. But Caleb, it's really hard. I didn't say it was easy. I didn't say that. I said move out. I said do the best you can. I did this myself. When I was 18 years old, I moved out of my parents' house with very little income in the middle of one of the biggest recessions of my adult life, the early 1990s, which is when we had the outsourcing recession. It was really bad. I moved out somewhere in 1991, I think is when I moved out. I think so. 92. I don't remember the exact year, but it was rough. But as I've said many times, and I'm going to repeat myself, I'm going to say this over and over again. To be a free man, you cannot live with your parents. I would rather you young guys, I would rather you live in a shitty studio apartment in the worst part of town with 2 or 3 roommates than live at home with mommy and daddy. Because at least that guy in the shitty studio apartment with roommates in the shitty part of town is free. He is free to live his life and do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, without having to check in with mommy and daddy or take a bunch of mommy and daddy's rules or bullshit or drama or whatever the fuck mommy and daddy do. And if you don't have a mommy and daddy, if you live with your grandma, whatever the fuck, that counts. So when I say mommy or daddy, I mean any authority figure like grandparents, parents, what have you. 18, move out. Yes, I know it's hard. Yes, it's expensive in a lot of cities. If you live in a really expensive city like London or Tokyo, I know that's even harder. But guess what you can do? As I've said a billion fucking times, you can move to an easier city or a less expensive city. You don't have to move out of your country, although that might be a good idea too. But certainly if you live in London, you can move out of London to a less expensive city in the UK, for example. You don't have to say, well, I live in an expensive city, so I have to stay with mommy and daddy until I'm 37 years old. No. So in my strong opinion, certainly if you're pursuing the Alpha Male 2.0 lifestyle, get the fuck out of your parents' house and move out. Now, I will admit to you that is hard. And when I was 18 living alone, I didn't have roommates. I was actually able to get a real apartment all by myself. And it wasn't even a studio. I got a 1-bedroom apartment, but it was rough. I've talked about this. There were days I couldn't put gas in my car. There were days I couldn't pay my electric bill. I was regularly 3 and 4 months late on my electric bill. And I remember purposely being late on my electric bill because they wouldn't shut it off for 4 months. So I was always 4 months late on my electric bill, running around barely paying my bills. It sucked, but I was free. I was free. And one of the biggest reasons I went from 18 to a six-figure income by age 27 is because I didn't live at home with mommy and daddy. I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted, which was a big leveraging factor in my life. So move the fuck out. The next age I want to talk about is age 30. I have written several big articles about this, and guys always get pissed off whenever I say this, but I'm right. You should not have a girlfriend until you are 30. What the fuck? Yes, you should not have a girlfriend until you are 30. Your 20s are way too important. Your 20s are a key component of your life where you don't yet have a wife, you don't yet have kids, you probably don't have a lot of debt, you don't have a lot of life infrastructure that old fuckers like me have, and you probably hopefully don't live at home with your parents. Your 20s is the only time of your life where that is the case. And when you get a goddamn girlfriend in your 20s, you blow that away. You take all the freedom that you gained by not living at home with your parents and not having kids and not having a wife and so on, and you blow it all away, or at least 80% of it away, by having a goddamn girlfriend. When you have a girlfriend, you have to follow a pile of rules. You cannot have those rules in your 20s. In your 20s, you need to be building your infrastructure. You need to be getting laid. You can date women. You can even date women you like. You can do all the MLTRs you want. You can date girls you really like. That's fine, but date a lot of them, or at least date more than one. You should be building your Alpha 2.0 business. You should be learning on the job, hopefully in a sales or marketing job, in your career, building your career. These things become 10 times fucking harder when you have a goddamn girlfriend who says, come spend time with me tonight. You work too hard. Come on. What are you doing? Okay, I won't work on my dreams. Okay, I won't work on my business. Okay, honey, I'll come spend time with you instead because I'm a dumb fuck and I have a girlfriend when I'm 27. Don't fucking do that. Guys destroy their lives when they have girlfriends in their 20s. Now, yes, there are bizarre exceptions to the rule, and I'm sure someone in the comments will say, Caleb, I know a guy who's 27, he makes $1 million a year, and he has a wife and 3 kids. The exception proves the rule. The vast majority of the time, women delay or kill your dreams, not help your dreams. That is the last thing you want to do. The next reason, by the way, is you are not mature enough to have a goddamn girlfriend in your 20s. I hate to say this, and I don't mean to insult you if you're in your 20s, but it's true. Modern day men in their 20s are children. You're still kind of a kid. And the last thing you want to do is get a girlfriend because you will not be able to control your emotions. You will get one-itis within 10 seconds. And when you get one-itis, she will own your fucking balls. Men who are over 30 have a better shot at not getting one-itis. I'm not saying men in their 30s and 40s never get one-itis. They certainly do, and they certainly can. But they have a much better time with it, and the odds are much more in their favor because they're much more emotionally experienced and much more emotionally stable. Certainly men in their 40s. You don't want a girlfriend in your 20s for so many reasons. By the way, this means any kind of girlfriend. This means a traditional monogamous girlfriend or even an OLTR girlfriend. No OLTRs for any man pursuing Alpha Male 2.0 before you are 30. That is insane. Once you're 30, fine. If you can't control yourself and you just have to have a goddamn girlfriend, go ahead. There's no fucking rush. We are men. We are not women. We don't have a biological clock. You can wait until you're fucking 30. Wait until you're 30 to get a goddamn girlfriend. Now, I know it brings up the question. Well, Caleb, I already have a girlfriend. So what do you want me to do? Break up with my girlfriend just because you said so? Hey, if you already have a girlfriend, you're under 30, you already fucked up. You already made the mistake by committing to that woman. By committing to monogamy, stupid, or at a bare minimum, committing to an OLTR status where you are emotionally exclusive and you have to spend a bunch of time with her and follow some of the parameters that she wants, because that's what happens even in an OLTR. You already made the error. So now it's a scenario where all options suck, as they say in the military. You can keep seeing her and destroy your life, or you can break up with her and have a really bad month and then get back on track. I know what I would do. I know exactly what I would fucking do. If I woke up in your shoes tomorrow morning, very first thing I would do is nicely break up with my girlfriend. That's the very first fucking thing I would do. That's the last thing I want because I want to build my life. And you're not going to pull that off with a goddamn girlfriend. Now, that brings us to settling down with a woman, to moving in with a woman. Married or not is not relevant. If you want to move in with a woman, that is our next age, and that is age 35. No man in the modern era should live with a woman who is under the age of 35. Everything I said about girlfriends is 10x when a woman moves in with you. You do not have the financial resources to manage a woman, even if she has her own money. You do not have the relationship skills to manage a live-in woman. I don't care how smart you fucking think you are. I don't care how many women you've had sex with. These are not relevant to relationship management skills when you live with a woman. Living with a woman full-time requires relationship skills at an advanced level. Not getting laid skills, not pickup artist skills. I love these idiot pickup artist guys who fuck 120 girls and say, well, now that I fucked 120 girls, I'm ready to move in with somebody. Wrong-o. You have no relationship skills whatsoever. As a matter of fact, if you're a player type guy like that, your relationship skills are probably worse than the typical beta male. No, we're talking about relationship skills, and you don't have the relationship skills, the context, the maturity, and certainly the money or the lifestyle management in place before you are 35. Hell, a lot of guys don't have this after 35. So I'm being kind of generous. If you move in with a woman, married or not, I don't care. It's not relevant. If you move in with a woman in a romantic context before you're 35, you have fucked up your life. And again, if you say to me, well, I already live with someone and I'm 29 or 31, what am I supposed to do? Kick her out? Again, I know what I would do. But again, you already made the error. You already made the mistake. So now all options suck. It's your life. You do whatever you want. I know what I would do. By the way, once I learned these things, I didn't know these things when I was 25 and got married the first time because I was a young, stupid beta male. But my excuse is I didn't have a Caleb telling me how to do this stuff. I didn't have a red pill world or a dating skill world or an internet where I could learn these things. So you don't have the excuse I had. I had the excuse of ignorance and you don't have that. By the way, once I figured this out, I walked my talk. I got divorced at age 35 and I waited a full 10 years before I moved in with a woman again. 10 years. And I had numerous opportunities to move in with many women, to marry many women before then, but I said no. I love these guys who get divorced and within a year or two or less, sometimes 6 months, they're moved in with another woman and they do it all over again because they're morons. Don't do it. Wait. There's no fucking rush. Once you're 35, then you can settle down with a woman. Now that brings us up to having children. When should you have kids? You're not going to like this one either. Age 40. And that's a general age. And here's why I give you that age. First of all, as I've talked about in videos on YouTube, because of 35, 40 years of voting for the lesser of two evils, the Western world has collapsed its own currency and collapsed their own economies to the point where it is now hyper expensive to raise children. Having children today for the Western man in the 2020s is only for very wealthy, high-income men. If you want to have children, you better be making a strong six-figure income, and I hope you have a seven-figure net worth. If that doesn't describe you, you should not have any kids until you hit that point. And I'm not kidding, and I'm not joking, and I'm not exaggerating. I know that pisses you off, but I'm right. The amount of money it costs to raise kids today is mind-boggling. I could give you the stats. I don't have them in front of me, but go look it up yourself. Google the stats and how much it takes to raise one kid. Much less, God forbid, 2 kids or 3 kids. 1 kid. Plus, on top of that, the divorce rate is around 76% or so. Certainly the breakup rate, if you don't marry the mother, is also that higher. That means you will end up leaving that woman or that woman will end up leaving you. And if you live in the United States or Canada and a few other Western countries, you will pay child support to that woman for the next 18 years. And if you don't fucking pay it, you will go to jail. And it won't matter whose fault it is. If the economy crashes and suddenly your income drops, you can't go to the judge and say, hey, I'm sorry, the economy dropped, I can't get a job. The judge will say, your ability to pay has no bearing on your obligation to pay. And fuck yeah, they will throw your ass in jail. Is that insane? Yes. This is what you get for voting for Democrats or Republicans for decades on end, a country like this. In Canada, it's just as bad. There are some other places like Australia and a few places in Europe that are also as bad. Most places in Europe aren't as bad, but you get my point. You better be absolutely rock solid, robust in your business life, your financial life, your net worth, and your income before you have kids. And unfortunately, most men at best are not going to reach that point till around age 40 at best, sometimes well past age 40. So you're looking at your 40s plus a 6-figure income and a 7-figure net worth to have kids. And if you want to ignore me, if you want to say, oh, fuck you, I'm going to have kids, that's Caleb's being ridiculous, you go right ahead. And you'll be one of those guys who in 3, 4, 5 years from now sends me an email saying, oh my God, you were right. I wish I listened to you. Break these rules at your own peril, buddy. We don't live in the 1950s anymore. I'm sorry, we don't. You can't just get a girlfriend whenever you feel like it. You can't just settle down whenever you feel like it. You can't just have babies whenever you feel like it. It's not how it works. Now, are there creative ways to have children where you don't run into these problems? Yes, there are some, but 99.9% of you are never going to want to do these things. One thing you could do, I've talked about this before, and I've seen guys do this, you can go move to the third world and live there the rest of your life and have all the babies you want there. That's fine. If you want to move to Colombia or move to Vietnam for the rest of your life, or Cambodia or what have you, and stay there for the rest of your life and impregnate your wife there, a woman there who lives there, you can have all the fucking babies you want. It'll be relatively cheap. There are no child support laws. Have fun. Are you going to do that? Are you going to fly to Vietnam and live there the rest of your life so you can have kids? No, you're not going to do that. You and I both know you're not going to do that. Some of you will, and that's great. But the vast, vast, vast majority of the people listening to my voice right now are not going to do this. So yes, there are some ways around this, but there are ways you're not going to do. Now, let me give you some other ages. I'm going to flip this a little bit in terms of ages of women. So one thing I have said is that you should not be in a serious relationship with long-term intentions with any woman under the age of about 24. Let me explain that. So again, we in the alpha male 2.0 world, we have FBs, MLTRs, and OLTR. You can certainly have FBs between 18 and 24. I have many. I've had many. They're wonderful. They're great. That's fine. Strongly encourage that. Go forth and have fun. You can have MLTRs. You can have MLTRs with women as young as 18. I've done it. I've had MLTRs with 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. Not very many, to be honest. Most of my MLTRs were a little older than that, but I've done it, and it worked. It was fine. You can have an MLTR who's 19. That is perfectly fine. What I'm talking about here is a very serious, committed relationship with long-term intentions. That means an OLTR or close to it, where you expect this person to be around for a long time. So let's say you are over 30 and you meet the criteria, you can have a girlfriend now. The last thing you want to do, or not the last thing you want to do, but I think a very dangerous thing to do is to go get a girlfriend who's 19. That's not smart. And the reason for that is you don't know what woman you're dealing with until she hits around age 24. You can date in a serious relationship a 19-year-old, and by the time she's 22 or 23, she will be radically different, and she will dump your ass even if you're the same guy, and even if nothing has changed in the relationship. I've seen it happen over and over and over and over again, and then you'll be devastated and distraught because you were stupid enough to be in a serious relationship with long-term intentions with a goddamn 19-year-old. That's fucking dumb. On a semi-regular basis, and it horrifies me to read these emails, I will get guys who say, oh, I'm 42 and I got divorced and fuck my bitch ex-wife and I've met the perfect woman of my dreams and we're getting married and she's 19 years old or she's 18 years old or she's 21 years old. And I just, I want to throw up all over my computer screen when I read that because I know what's going to happen to that guy. He's going to get raped again. So, and the way I gauge this is that based on my experience with dating women this young, because I've dated a lot of women of all ages, including that age, many women under the age of 24, is that women don't really get their shit together, or at least start to get their shit together around age 23-ish or so. And so that doesn't mean they hit 23 and they turn their lives around. It really starts to manifest at 24. And also at 24, a woman becomes the woman she is, so to speak. So would I get into a serious long-term, if I wasn't married myself, because I am, but let's say I wasn't, would I get into a serious committed relationship with long-term intentions with a woman who is 23? No, I would not. Would I do that with a woman who's 24? Maybe. That is a gray area. That's a little risky. I don't know. Would I with a woman who's 25? Yes. If she matched all the other criteria I wanted, sure. I could go as high as 25. So that's kind of the cutoff there. It's very dangerous to get into a serious, committed relationship with long-term intentions with a woman under the age of 24, regardless of what your age is. This is irrelevant of your age. You can't say, well, I'm 51 and I know women really well and I've been married and I've lived with women and I've fucked a lot of girls and I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to get a serious, committed girlfriend with long-term intentions and she's 20. That's not relevant. Yes, you're 51, but she's 20, you moron. What the fuck? And in short order, you're going to have drama like you've never seen in your fucking life. And I see guys do this. By the way, this is a new trend that I've mentioned years ago, and it's accelerating now, is much older men with much younger women. And a strong percentage of these men are getting serious with these younger women and in many cases marrying these younger women, or certainly they're moving in together. That's insanity. Please don't do that. Draw a line at age 24. You can have sex with women under 24. You can date as MLTR as women under 24. But when it comes to girlfriend, OLTR, or woman with an OLTR potential, you need to draw the line at 24 and stay above 24. Matter of fact, higher than 24 is better. 27 would be much better than 24. 28, 29. As I've said before, I purposely, on purpose, married a woman in her mid-30s. Before I ever met Pink Firefly, when I wrote out the kind of woman I wanted, I said, I want a woman who is in her mid-30s or so. Because that way I know I'm dealing with the woman she is. She's not going to radically change. Women always change their mind about things, but in terms of her personality, she's not going to radically change because that is who she is. And I did that on purpose. And there's a lot of reasons I did that. Especially when you're in a non-monogamous relationship like me. It's easier to manage when they're older because fucking other guys is not something they're really interested in doing. By the way, that's another thing. Women under 24 are very promiscuous. The last thing you want is a serious OLTR girlfriend who is banging new guys left and right all the fucking time. I don't think you'll like that if she's your serious girlfriend or wife to be. If she's an MLTR or FB, you don't care. You're like, whatever, I don't care. But if she's serious, I don't think you're going to like that. But Caleb, you don't understand. I'm dating someone who's 20 and she's much more mature for her age and blah. She doesn't do that. Okay, she doesn't do that. She's still going to transform into something very different when she hits 22, 23, 24, and she's going to drop your ass so fast you won't believe it. Just don't do it. You know what? Getting into a long-term relationship with a woman of any age is dangerous enough at any age. You don't want to exacerbate it by going lower than 24. All right, moving on now. Let's pivot back to men and men's age. And the next age I'm going to talk about is age 50. And this is an opinion I have. I have less data on this opinion, but I do have data on this. And you can, take this with a grain of salt or not, but I strongly believe this. You should not get deeply involved in your spiritual life or your religious life until you are at least 50. And the reason for that is getting involved heavily in a religion or a spiritual life takes wisdom, not intelligence, not desire, not piety, not discipline, wisdom. You don't have wisdom when you're under 50. I'm sorry, you fucking don't. You just don't. And so for you to get really involved in your religion or really involved in a spiritual life, if you don't like religion and you're in your 20s, very dangerous. 30s, 40s, also very dangerous. Don't even try it. I am under 50, so I'm in that category myself. I do not have a strong spiritual life. I have spiritual beliefs. I do one or two spiritual things. I have some spiritual practices, but I have not completely devoted myself and devoted a lot of energy to my spiritual life because I know I'm too young. I'm 48 years old. That is way too young to really tap into my spiritual life, in my strong opinion. And most of you listening to this podcast, frankly, are much younger than me. So I have seen many times when guys get heavily involved in religion and they're in their 20s, it just ends up fucking up their lives. They just get really angry and they make very stupid decisions because the religion told them to. And they're much less likely to do that if they're over the age of 50. In other words, I have seen men embrace religion and or spirituality over age 50, and it actually enhances their lives. It makes them happier and it makes their lives better. I don't see a lot of men over 50 embrace religion or embrace spirituality. I've seen a few, but statistically, I haven't seen a lot of guys who do this and it fucks up their lives and makes them more angry and makes them do stupid shit. But I see that happen all the goddamn time with men who do this in their 20s and 30s. And yes, sometimes 40s. I see a lot of that. And I'm sure as I said that, you can think of some people some men who really got into religion or spirituality when they were in their 20s or 30s or even early 40s, and it basically fucked them up. Yeah, because you don't have the wisdom to manage that. And again, I'm in this category myself. I'm pointing at myself here. I am too young and I don't have enough wisdom, not intelligence, not experience, wisdom. Wisdom is very different than these things. I don't have enough wisdom to really fully experience myself on a spiritual level. I just don't. Now, in my 50s, I may start dabbling with that stuff. Certainly in my late 50s, early 60s, I might. But right now, no, I'm too young, and you probably are too. So that's it. Those are the minimum ages at which you should do certain things. If you want to just blow me off and just ignore my advice and violate anything I've talked about in this podcast, sweetheart, you go right ahead. But you're going to run into all kinds of chaos and all kinds of problems, and you're going to remember this podcast several years down the road when your life explodes in your face because you didn't take my advice. There's no rush for these things. Keep repeating that to yourself. There is no rush for a girlfriend, a wife, children, spirituality, what have you. There's no rush for these things. You're going to live a long time. We're men. We don't have biological clocks. There's no rush. You ignore my advice at your peril. You can do whatever you want. I'm an individualist. It's your life. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. But just realize if you violate anything I've said in this podcast, you're in for some shit. Anyway, have fun. I will see you again very soon.